Since our preferred method of travel is without reservations, we never know where we might end up. When we left my brother's place in Phoenix, we were shooting for Kartchner Caverns. But before we got to Tucson, a bright, shiny object caught my attention, the sign for Picacho Peak Campground. Ever since watching a stream in life climb the peak several years ago, I've been wanting to do it, so we decided to get off the interstate and see if we could get a campsite. We left our surge protector at my brother's place, and we weren't quite sure where we were going to stay tonight. We decided at the very last minute, we saw the sign off the freeway that said Picacho Peak, and so we decided to pull in and see if they had a spot. They did, and hopefully we won't have any problems with the electricity. And this is the view of from our campsite. We'll probably take the bikes off and go for a ride around this area. By the way, the camping fee is $30 a night here, but they do have electric. They have a water shortage right now, so you have to bring your own water. I think normally have showers and everything. We'll check that out later. But the park entrance, if you're not camping, is $7. And so now we get to hike Picacho Peak, hopefully. And they say wear gloves. Arizona has this really nice outdoor recreation guide with all the state parks in it. It's really nice. Arizona really does it right. They just have the best state parks. So pick one of those up. I'm going to make lunch, but I'm making breakfast for lunch. I'm going to make French toast because I've had this French baguette now for several days, so it's nice and stale, which is actually perfect for the French toast that I'm going to make. I did forget to pick up some fresh fruit though. And so I'm going to go ahead and cook an apple partway, because I have found in the past when I use fresh apples that they don't get soft enough in the Instant Pot. So I'm going to go ahead and cook this up with some cinnamon and sugar and use that. For those of you who don't know already, this is actually not the corian. This is a cutting board that we had cut to the same size as the opening for the sink. So I'm not cutting on the corian. And I bought 2 of them in case I ever needed to replace it. Got some cinnamon and some brown sugar. Use that. Get my vanilla out, but I keep it in an eyedropper. It smells good. Okay, and I'm going to cut up. I don't need the whole baguette. This is a long one. I think I'll use about 2/3 of the baguette. And I will beat, I think I'll use 3 eggs. You can just eyeball it depending on the size of your pan. And I think I'll add about maybe 1/3 to 1/2 cup of milk. A couple squirts of vanilla. Good, it's getting a little soft. Just gonna try to reduce the amount of utensils I use, so I'll just use this same spatula. And you need to give this time for it to soak up the moisture. This really is the driest bread I think I've ever used in this to make French toast, but that's probably good. Put about 3/4 of a cup of water on the bottom. Spray your pans with some I like the baking pan for this. Now, one of the things that you can add is cream cheese, and I happen to have some. And that goes on the top at the very end. So now it's just a matter of distributing between the two pans. Distribute the bread, maple syrup. You don't want to overfill these pans. Some more brown sugar. Then I'll put the apples on top. What are you doing crawling around down there?
Rooting around.
And the cream cheese doesn't actually like melt into the dish, which kind of surprised me the first time I did this. It just kind of gets soft and then you can kind of squish it into the dish. Usually I don't have it with me, but I do this time because I had made a cheesecake and had this left over. And sometime on this trip I'll probably make a cheesecake because they're really good in the Instant Pot. Okay, then I always have to think, what did I forget? Because I almost always forget something. But it's hard to go wrong with this dish. You really can't screw up. I have forgotten in the past to put sugar in, but then you just add a little more maple syrup at the end. I've forgotten the fruit. I've forgotten, I don't know, whatever. Okay. I'll put this back together. This on there, this on there, that one, and then this one. And do not use a trivet. Just stick it right in the pot. Won't fit with the trivet. Mint. Come on, get in there. There we go. There we go. Turn it on pressure cook 30 minutes or so. If you're at high altitude, you probably should do more. But don't be afraid to experiment with your Instant Pot. Because if you're hungry enough, you'll eat it. And now for the dishes. So you get an idea of how much water I used. Basically, that's all the water I used to clean these. And then whatever it takes to rinse this pan. That's the beauty of a really good quality stainless steel pan. It cleans very easily. Yummy. Looks yummy. I'm just gonna mush that. Change of plans. We're going to hike the peak now because the showers are open despite the water shortage, and it's nice and overcast today. So it's supposed to take about 4 hours. John just talked to a couple that said that took them 4 hours. So we're gonna head off. You're gonna grab a couple of walking sticks, John? And we'll ride our bike down to the trailhead and leave them parked there. I imagine on a busy day, this parking lot is just slammed with people, but we found a spot for our bikes. So we're gonna lock up, and the trail closes at sunset. So hopefully we'll get down. Sunset is at what time, John? 5:45. Okay, give this a try. Are not hiking shoes, in case anyone was wondering. We made it without any broken bones, no falls, and that was rugged. So if you're not in really good shape, if you have bad knees or anything like that, don't do it. Make sure you wear gloves. Take a walking stick. That'll be really help if you're in our age bracket. And it took us about, well, we spent 15 minutes at the top, so allow about 4 hours. It's a good thing we went hiking yesterday and not today, because it started raining about 2 a.m. or something, and it's supposed to rain until about 10 a.m. Trail would have been even more slippery than it was. So we're going to take advantage of the rain, and I'm going to sit here and edit for a few hours, and John will probably watch YouTube videos, and making some oatmeal now. So, and then maybe I'll make some soup later. It's a good day for soup. So several people have asked about the heater and how we're liking it. So this is how it works. Every time you turn it on, you have to actually set the temperature. Actually, you turn the power switch up on top, then you have to push the power down here, and it always comes up at 90 degrees. So of course you're going to want to reduce that. And there's the minus, so I'm going to lower it down to about 60, maybe 68. And this button over here, the timer, so if whoops, that's the temperature, timer. So if I put it on 1, that means for 1 hour it will cycle on and off, and you can go up as high as, I think, 10. No, 12. Yeah, 12. So you can go up to 12 hours and it will cycle on and off for 12 hours.
How's it worked?
Oh, it definitely puts out more heat than the other one. Oops, we're boiling here. Hold on. Hold on, hold on. Turn that down.
Almost damn it oatmeal.
My mom always had oatmeal that spilled over, and she would say damn it, and she never cursed, and so we would call it damn it oatmeal. Okay, so
back to the heater.
Back to the heater. Okay, so the heater it gets really warm here. So you don't want to have it anywhere that's going to be close to something else. But other than that, it works really well. And folks have asked why we use that instead of the onboard heater, which works great, and that's the one that really heats up the cabin. We use it when we have shore power. So it's quieter than the forced air one. And of course, we're using the power from the pedestal and not our propane, so we have to fill our propane less frequently. But last night it only got down to like 52. So it's just, John's telling me something else. 47. Okay, well the forecast was 52. Okay, it got to 47, so we didn't need the heat all night. And we had the window open as well. We're not sure exactly where we're gonna go, but We are up here at Picacho Peak State Park, and we had thought yesterday we would try to get down to Karchner Caverns down here. And the rain has stopped, but we got to get our wet bikes back on the back of the car. We're at a rest stop off of I-10, east of Benson, Arizona. We thought we were going to be able to, well, we had hoped to get into the Karchner Cave, the Karchner Caverns campground and a cave tour, but they were booked. So now we're going to head a little bit more east. There's a BLM campground. I don't know if you'd call it a campground. It's supposed to have like 5 sites, but we're going to check that out because I think we'll probably be able to get in there, and it's free. So our goal on this trip is to do as much boondocking as we can.
And what's for lunch?
Peanut butter and jelly.
Yummy.
You've got to climb up in the rocks if you come here. It is amazing. If you stuck around this long, then I have a few more things to share, but in the future, because we are now in the future. One of them is I want to share kind of my philosophy for this channel. I listened to a podcast. The guy's name is Seth Godin, and I'll put a link to his podcast below. But he talks about all kinds of interesting things in our lives. I think he's quite inspirational. But yesterday I was talking about when you turn a light on for yourself, you're turning a light on for other people. And that's kind of what I want this channel to be. I want there to be something of value in there for others to learn from and maybe inspire them. I want people to feel like they can do the same things that we do, and give them a little bit more information to make them confident that they can do that, and also then share it forward with others. So I just wanted to mention that because I think Seth is amazing. The second thing is that we were asked a question about how we hook up the TV to our iPads, and I said I would show the dongle and the attachment we use to do that. And I know a lot of you already know how to do this, but they were, they couldn't figure it out. So come on back here, John. Okay, I just realized how dusty this thing is. Anyway, what you need to do is get yourself an HDMI cord. And if you don't know what that is, it's the one with the end that looks like that. Both ends look like that. And so what you'll do is you will unplug the HDMI cord that goes from your television up to the DVD player in the cabinet. So you'll just unplug this and then plug in your own HDMI cord that you got. I think this one is probably 3 or 4 feet. Doesn't need to be too long, but you want it long enough so that when you're in bed, it can reach to your device so you don't have to constantly get up. And then the second thing you need is the piece that comes from Apple, and I recommend you do not get a third-party dongle, because we had one and they just never work very long. Actually, John's giving me this, so we've had 3. Why did it take you so long to figure that out?
The others are so cheap.
Yeah,
and there's a reason.
Yeah, but you pay for it anyway. It's about $50. I think he says $49. So the back of it has the receiver for the HDMI cord, and also for power, so you can power this thing at the same time. And that looks like is that a lightning cord? Mm-hmm. Yeah, lightning cord. Okay, so that's all you do is you plug this in there, and then you take your phone, which, here's my phone. Take either your phone or your iPad and then just plug it in and you're good to go. You do have to make sure it's set on HDMI, I think 2. Isn't that right, John? HDMI 2? HDMI 1? HDMI 1. Tell me.
There's only one on this TV, but lots of televisions have 2 or 3 HDMIs. Okay,
so HDMI 1. Anyway, that's it, and you should be good to go. Now, the other thing you need to know, though, about downloading, so if you're downloading either YouTube because you're a YouTube Premium user, or Amazon Prime videos, anything you can actually download and watch on the road, you want to make sure you get the resolution right. Premium, on YouTube Premium, go into your settings and make sure that you're downloading a 1080p video as opposed to one that's like 420 or something lower.
144 is
144 is the lowest, and because the quality on your TV will be terrible. You want to make sure it's 1080p. So I hope that helps. And then the third thing I want to share is actually we ran into a young man on the road who was cycling from Austin to San Diego. And I just did a quick kind of hello with him on video, which I will show now and share his Instagram account in case you want to follow him as well. And you don't have to be, in your 20s to do a trip like this. We have a friend who did it when he was 70. He rode from Huntington Beach to New York, and all by himself. And there are people that do it older. So it's, if that's something you've dreamed about all your life, just start working toward that goal. You don't have to be a young stud. You can be geezers like we are.
Action.
We just showed up to the Santa Elena Overlook. Is that what it's called? And ran into this guy, Frank Wild? No.
Well, my real last name is Hughes.
Oh, Hughes, okay. And he's cycling from Austin. He lives in, what did you say?
New Jersey.
New Jersey. He flew into Austin. No, he took a train. Well, I'm getting this all wrong. He took the Amtrak with his bicycle to Austin, and now he's cycling to San Diego. And he has an Instagram. Tell him what your Instagram account is.
So my Instagram account, which documented my last tour, which was from Minneapolis to Seattle, and is documenting this tour from Austin to San Diego, is Wild Across America. It's WILDE, like Oscar Wilde, Across America.
So if you want to follow him, go to Instagram and follow him. And we're going to follow him. And what's been the favorite thing you've done on the trip?
On this trip so far, it was definitely, it's definitely been my time in the park, I have to say. Absolutely. I took a rest day in Chisos Basin because, frankly, my legs really needed it, but the views there were spectacular.
Yeah, we were there last night. And you expect to be in San Diego when?
I should be in San Diego on or before March 6th.
Okay, great. Well, we wish you the best and hope you have a safe travel.
Thank you so much.
And then the last thing I want to say is thank you guys so much for, those of you who stick to the end. You're not subscribers, you're enrollees. You've kind of enrolled in this thing that we're doing, this adventure, this channel with, sticking through me learning how to do this. And I really appreciate that. So I also appreciate the fact that you send tips. In fact, we're at a campground right now that was recommended by a viewer, and I appreciate those. And at the end of this adventure, I will be making a list of all the places that we camped or boondocked, and anything, places that were recommended by viewers, by others that we've met. I will also include that in the list in case you're traveling in this direction. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.
Back up. Okay.
Why do I have to back up? Is it doing its weird thing? Does that help at all?
I don't know. It's a good blooper roll so far, though.
Huh?
It's a good blooper roll so far, though.